Guys, how are we doing today? All right. So we're doing straight up NBA draft pre-show. Everything about this is going to be an NBA draft. What's going on, Q man? How you doing, brother? So that's what we're doing today. Everything about this show is going to be NBA draft. So the idea is whatever questions you guys have, whatever about specific teams, specific players, we're doing it all leading up to the big event, which is at 8 o'clock. I won't be streaming live for the draft. I am into the first round of the draft. I'll probably pop on again to do an abbreviated one as well. That's the goal, to do a breakdown. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? I think it's on TSN in Canada. I know it's ESPN in the States. But yeah, so if there's any teams, anything like that you guys want to know specific things about, we're only doing NBA draft today. So no other stuff will be discussed today. This is all NBA all day long. You'd rather Davion in the playoffs than Hero? Well, I'll say this. I'm not a Tyler Hero guy. I'm not a Tyler Hero guy at all. In the playoffs, kids performed well, right? Where are the chances the Raps move up? I would say it's minimal. I would say there's minimal chances that the Raptors move up. Now, I will get to every question. Obviously, if the questions are coming kind of fast and furious, I will have to scroll through. It will take some time, but I will get to every question. But yeah, I would say that it's unlikely the Raptors move up. I would say that is a less than 20% chance. They don't have a lot of asset capital to move up. Like, we have all of our own draft picks, but in terms of the contracts, things like that, I don't think a team is going to take 19 and RJ Barrett to move up significantly. And then the difficulty becomes a lot of these players in this range of like 14 through or 15 through 19 are kind of in the same tier, right? Do you think Phylon is number one guard on the Raptors board? I think that Phylon is really good. You're talking about in that specific range of guard. I would have Christian Anderson ahead of Phylon for this team because I trust him to play off ball more. Right. I trust him and I trust the 3-point shot. Obviously, there's a lot of on-ball players with the Toronto Raptors. Only so many shots to go around, only so much on-ball time to go around. And LeBaron Phylon is very much an on-ball guard, right? His game is all craft, pick and roll, stuff like that. So I think that Phylon is a really great player. I don't necessarily love the Toronto fit, which sucks. If their roster structure was a little bit different. If you see the Raptors go out today and trade Brandon Ingram or RJ Barrett, then yeah, a on-ball guard can make a lot more sense. But based off the roster construction that's going on right now, I don't necessarily love that as a fit. Do you think the Raptors should take a risk on Jaden Quaintance? Yeah. So I obviously don't. I haven't seen the medicals. That stuff's not released. But the one thing I will say is that if you truly want an elite upside guy at 20, at 19, this is the shot you take unless somebody slides. Because yeah, the knee might be an issue, but man, if he can figure out the knee stuff, he is still so unbelievably young for being a sophomore. The defensive upside for this kid is genuinely remarkable, like a remarkable defensive upside. Who do you see the Raptors picking? A lot of that depends on who slides, right? If somebody from the larger group slides, like if a Cam Carr slides, or if Merez Johnson or Hannes Steinbach or somebody like that were to slide, then you go for the best guy on the board. Yesterday in my mock draft, I did have Jaden Quaintance going to the Raptors at 20. So that was that was something I felt good about. Who's going fifth? I think Wagler. If I had to put money out right now, Keaton Wagler would be the guy that I would probably pick. There's some smoke around Adai Mara. That's way too early for Mara for me personally. So that wouldn't be the direction that I would be going. But I get it. They need a center. I don't think Niederhauser is the guy long term. I think he's a backup center long term. But Wagler would be the guy that makes the most sense in terms of fit. man, if I'm the Clippers, I'd consider trading down. If a team at 7 or 8 really wanted that 5 pick and you could get additional assets and trade down and grab Braden Burries, I think Burries is the perfect fit for that team. Are there any picks that the Raptors could send? Wait, are there any picks that the Raptors could take that could be as bad as the Grady pick? Well, I hated the Grady pick at the time. I was not a fan of the Grady pick at the time. That has not changed. So that's a big one for me. If at 19 they were to draft Karim Lopez, I wouldn't be a fan of that. If at 19, let me just look at my draft board. If they were to draft Koa Pete, I wouldn't be a fan. I have major Alan Graves concerns. I don't hate him as much because Barnes and CMB are so elite at what they do. I think they can cover up for a lot of the issues that that Graves has. I would hate Malik Thomas. The people yelling for Malik Thomas, I don't think have watched him other than highlight reels. That's the reality. With this roster construction, I also wouldn't love Dalen Swain unless you're going to move off RJ Barrett. They just overlap so much. Oh, thanks, Wannabe. Appreciate that. Are the Bulls going to piss me off as usual tonight? Honestly, dude, I think the Bulls are primed to have just an incredible night. I think Bryson Graham so far just done a really, really good job getting Nick Claxton for free yesterday, another high-level athlete. They're obviously really focusing on athletes. Caleb Wilson will 99% be the pick tonight at 4. And then at 15, I think like I said, I've mocked Cameron Carr to them at 15 several times. And I think that Cam Carr is the perfect guy to be there at that spot and dynamic athlete, floor spacer, transition player. I absolutely love the fit with Cam Carr. And if you come out of the draft with Caleb Wilson and Cam Carr, even if you were to come out with Caleb Wilson and Merez Johnson or there's a lot of combinations. It would be very, very hard for the Chicago Bulls to screw this up. If they end up trading up from 15 to 9 payment or something, yeah, that would piss me off. I think that would be a bad decision. Who's going to be the Hanson, the young Hanson of this draft? A guy that's going to go way too high for what he is. Let me see. Who do I think has the young? I don't think there's going to be a young Hanson in this draft. But if I had to guess somebody who's going to go way, way, way too high that comes out of nowhere, I wonder if a team just fell in love with Isaiah Nelson, if they could reach on Isaiah Nelson, just because the talent is so big. Or like a Toby Lawal, if there's a team that just bets on the athleticism and just goes crazy on the athleticism and really, really reaches on just the pure athlete side of it. I think those are the two most likely ones in terms of just a player who's going to bust really hard. If I have major questions about Mikal Brown Jr. I do. If you draft him at 5 or 6, I get the ceiling, but the floor is terrifying. I don't know how he affects winning long term. Nate Amon, I have him ranked 26th. At one point I had him as low as 29th. I get the upside. It's a lot of projection. Chris Senak is a lot of projection. Karim Lopez, who I already said, is just a ton of projection where it's just you need so many things to go right for that to be a functional thing. If a team decides to run up in the top 20 and draft Malik Thomas, I just think that's going to be horrific for whoever that is. Acquire another first-round pick. So I don't think you can acquire another first-round pick, but there are trade down opportunities. Like 2 mocks ago, I came through and I said, if the board fell a certain way and the Raptors wanted to trade down from 19 to 24 and pick up 24 and 31, I would do that trade in an instant, depending on how the board falls. But I think there are opportunities for things like that, but I don't know if there's necessarily, unless they're going to move like an RJ Barrett or something, unless a team just really, really, really wants to get RJ Barrett and is willing to throw a late first or whatever at him. But I think its likelihood is low for for that situation. And guys, no matter what service you're on, especially if you're on YouTube right now, give me a follow, subscribe to the channel. I'm at like 800 followers on YouTube right now. I only started doing YouTube very recently. I'm trying to build that up. I'm trying to get to a point where I can start to unlock some monetization and things like this. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, because the support is always greatly appreciated. Best Jaylen Brown team. This is going to be unpopular, but it's the Boston Celtics. I think Boston's just a great fit for what he is. He's comfortable in the system. They've had success there. He's a championship caliber player with that roster. I don't see the point of moving him. If they were going to move him somewhere else, there's a part of me that says maybe Minnesota could make sense. I don't think they have the pieces to get him, though. Would Phoenix make sense, but they don't have the pieces to get him. There are spots where, like, he's a great player. Like, he's, at the end of the day, he's a great player. You know, if he went to the Toronto Raptors, like, right away, he's just like exceptionally good at what he does. He's an exceptionally good basketball player. So there's a lot of teams. You know, there's a lot of teams. Like 23, was that the Grady draft? I always get the years confused. If that was the Grady draft, that was the year where I was so all in on Cason Wallace that it was blowing people's minds. Like I had a top 5 grade on Cason Wallace. Cason Wallace is one of my favorite draft prospects ever. Like, he'd be in my top 3 or 4 favorite draft prospects that I've evaluated, period. So yeah, I think that's 23 draft. So yeah, what do you see if it would take for another pick? You'd have to trade futures, right? So if you want another pick in this one, you probably have to trade 2 futures to get it done. The Raptors aren't in a positive situation in terms of draft capital, so I think it's really, really tough, right? I think it's tough. I think that one's a real tough one. Will you look to trade for Miles Turner? Depends on what it's for. So Miles Turner's contract's not short either. So people are like, hey, oh, hilarious. I'm getting asked the Miles Turner question on multiple media sources right now. Miles Turner was bad last year. Like, there's no 2 ways about it. And I like Miles Turner as a player. I think Miles Turner is a great fit in Toronto. But that contract is long. That contract is expensive. So if it takes trading Pirtle and you have to attach a first round pick to it, like you have to attach 19, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I wouldn't be interested necessarily in making that move, because, like, I just think there's a lot of value in 19. You know, I'm also a draft guy, though. So obviously I'm a little bit biased. Yeah, I'm a little bit biased. And like I said before, guys, like, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And I will be going through every single question. It's just going to take me a little while because I've got questions from 3 social media platforms all coming in at the same time, but I will answer every single one. So just stay chill and I will get to it. How do you feel about Henry Versar? I made a whole video about Henry Versar. I think that he's awesome. Yeah, there are issues in terms of lateral mobility and stuff. I think he plays his ass off. I think he's a great passer. I think that he is a legitimate 43% three-point shooter on 6 attempts per game as a 7-foot center. I think he's a tenacious rebounder, even though he's not all that physically strong. I think, you know, he's a willing guy to stick his nose in there. You play him at the nail, kind of like, you know, you can do Hartenstein-esque things with him offensively. I think Henry Versar is a guy who comes in the league and can do good things right away. I'm a big believer in Christian Harrison, man. I like Christian Harrison. But yeah, the Turner thing, if you could get Turner for Pirtle, Grady Dick, and some sort of heavily protected 2027 first, I would do that. But I'm not trading 19 for him. You know, I this draft is really good. I think there are great players you can get at 19. So yeah, the Raptors picks are Swain, Carr, and Quaintance. I just don't like. I love Dalen Swain as a player. I just really don't like the fit with Dalen Swain and the Raptors. Like, he does so many of the same things that RJ Barrett does. He's a tough guy to fit in because he needs the ball in his hands, right? He's not a knockdown 3-point shooter. His offensive game is generated with ball in hand. And on the Toronto Raptors, there's just not a lot of reps available for ball in hand players, which is one of my primary concerns about everybody wanting Bennett Sturts and Christian Anderson and LeBaron Philon and Dalen Swain. And it's like, there's only one basketball on the court. We already have 4 players that require the basketball to be kind of fully actualized. We're going to bring a kid in who then is going to have to play off ball. how's that going to help them? How's that going to help us? Right. Let me just look up draft baller really, really quick here, but I'm pretty sure it was higher than that. Henry Vesar. 5.6 threes per game. He took 5.6 3-point attempts per game. Vesar did. Why did Giannis was given away? Yeah, so it's actually funny. I made a mock draft yesterday, and I predicted in the mock draft Giannis being traded to Miami, and I predicted the deal. So, sorry, I didn't nail the second round pick. My bad. I didn't have the second round pick added in. But yeah, I did pretty well on that one. But yeah, no, it was a lukewarm return for sure. I'm not going to be live reacting to the draft because draft time is this is like Christmas Day for my family. So I've got 2 teenage sons. I'm going to be watching the draft with my kids, having like a little draft party with my kids, and just really, really enjoying ourselves then. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the pre-show between now and kind of when the draft starts, so probably 7:30 or whatever until this dies down. And then after the draft, I'm going to do like a 1 hour live broadcast doing a breakdown of kind of what we saw and answering questions and giving some grades and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for the gift. I appreciate that. I'm fully engaged that the Raptors will pick Christian Harrison, and they very well could. Q-man, like it's definitely a possibility. Like he fits better than most. The Nuggets, I think the Nuggets have a couple little like really fun options, right? If one of the guards slips, like whether it's Sturts or I don't think Anderson will slip that far, but if it's Sturts or a Corey or Sergio De La Reyna, I could see one of those guys fitting beautifully. I could see Bruce Thornton fitting beautifully. I could see Josh Jefferson being like a really great fit for them as well. So there's a lot of guys that I really, really like for the Denver Nuggets, but I think they're going to find a guy, even Henry Vesar, to be a backup center and shoot threes and stuff like that. I think Denver's in a good spot at 26. Hopefully they don't screw it up. Hero and Turner for RJ and Jakob. I don't think that Milwaukee would do that trade at the end of the day. Like I would say yes to that trade because it just spaces the floor so incredibly. But yeah, I just don't think so. RJ for 15, I would do that trade in a heartbeat. I don't think the Bulls would. And the Bulls just took on Claxton and his money. So we'd probably like if the Bulls offered 15 and the awful Patrick Williams contract for RJ Barrett, I would say yes to that deal. That's how highly I think of this draft, and especially that 15 spot. Well, on Draft Baller. Oh, my bad. No, you're right. I'm looking at per 100 possessions. So Howie, you are correct, man. It's 3-point attempts. It's 5.6 per 100. I usually look at per 100 stats because obviously it gives more of a like a balanced analytical viewpoint. Would you trade? I did that one. What's your top 3 list for players you want to be drafted to the Raptors? Like if we're talking about players that have a 10-ish percentile chance, like Cam Carr would be number 1, Merez Johnson 2, Hans Steinbach 3 would probably be. I don't think any of those players will be available. Yeah, no, Howie, you were right. I was looking at per 100 possessions. Potential trades for the Raptors. I did one of those on TikTok not too long ago. So yeah. Who do you want in 23 for the Raptors? Is 23 the Grady Dick draft? It was Cason Wallace. Cason Wallace is who I wanted. Any trades? Well, I predicted the Giannis trade yesterday, so I feel pretty good about that. The other ones that I picked at draft or on my mock draft, if you guys watch my mock draft from yesterday, I think I made 3 or 4 trades in the first round for different players. I'm having a hard time remembering which ones I moved right now. Jaylen Brown to the Nuggets. That would be. Oh, thank you, Nico. Jaylen Brown to the Nuggets. I'm wearing a Colin Murray Boyles jersey because that's my guy. That's my guy right now. Are you guys reporting this, or is this just? Or are we just talking about it? I heard it. I just saw a bunch of people say Jaylen Brown to the Nuggets. Like, is that something that's being reported, or are you guys just like making predictions? Because I haven't seen that pop up in my feed yet. I would love to trade for another first round pick. Well, they wouldn't. The 26 pick's not getting you Jaylen Brown, right? Like if you're going to get Jaylen Brown, you're going to be trading multiple assets and multiple firsts. Sinak is not my kind of guy, right? Like I like Sinak in theory. It's a lot of projection, right? It's a lot of projection. If you take Cam Carr at 15, would you be comfortable with taking another guard at 19? Or do you look that's a lot of on-ball players. So I'd be looking for a big. I'd want whatever big. If you can get a high-level player like that at that spot, that's where I'd be really, really comfortable reaching on a center who might be a little bit lower, or even trading back slightly and just acquiring more assets. I think that's kind of where I'd be looking for Hero for Quickly and Dick. Milwaukee says no to that. Yeah, I'm watching the Blue Jays too. Fucking Urias just hit a 2-run bomb. All right, I'm almost caught up now. I'm almost caught up, guys. Keep the questions coming. Thoughts on Giannis trade? Predicted it yesterday during my mock draft. So if you guys check that out on YouTube, you can see the prediction that I made about that. It's a lukewarm return. I don't like the return, even though I predicted the trade. I think John Horst is terrible at his job. Like I think he's in that same class as, a couple other guys. One of them's in Sacramento. And one of them's in New Orleans as the worst general manager in the sport. I just don't think they're good at their job. Right. So that's a big problem. Disappointed at the Raptors draft. The guys that I really wouldn't love. Koa Pete, Chris Sinak Jr., Karim Lopez. Those would be the three that I wouldn't want. How many trades do you think the Raptors make this offseason? Maybe one. I don't think it's going to be an overly active offseason for the Raptors, unfortunately. And just to let you guys know, we are doing only NBA draft today. Cam Carr, I have ranked 6 in the draft class. So if Cam Carr slides to 19, it's exceptional value. It's kind of like last year with Colin Murray Boyles. I had Murray Boyles ranked 4. I thought about having him ranked 3. That's how highly I think of him. And he slid to 9, and 9 was where I predicted him going in my mock. And people lost their mind, and now they're all sending me apologies. Yeah. So, and again, if you guys don't already subscribe, especially for the YouTube, people, if you're watching on TikTok or whatever, and you don't subscribe to my YouTube, jump over to YouTube. There's a link in my link tree that attaches, and I've got full scouting reports on, I think, about 15 players up there, a couple of mock drafts, my big board, everything else. So if you don't subscribe, please do, because the support is super helpful, because I'm really trying to build up the long form content, and I'm getting really close to 1,000 subscribers despite being pretty new at TikTok or at YouTube, which is cool. Yeah, Corey is so hyper on ball. It's just a tough fit, right? I love the player. It's just fit matters, and I don't love the fit. Do you like Sabonis on the Raptors? I think that Sabonis can be insulated on the Raptors, but you have to fully commit to the idea that Colin Murray Boyles is your starting power forward. Scotty Barnes is your starting small forward. If you fully commit to the idea that both of those dogs are playing 35 minutes a night and they're going to be with Sabonis and they can be on the court with him to insulate his weaknesses, I think it's functional. Would I acquire him with a draft pick? No. I would not add a first-round pick under any circumstances to grab Sabonis. If the deal was Barrett and Dick, or Ingram and Dick for Sabonis and another piece, like if it's Ingram, it would be Sabonis and like Malik Monk. If it's Barrett, it would probably be like Sabonis and potentially like a Devin Carter. I do that trade for sure because it does clear up a little bit of the roster, and then you don't need to reinvest that money into Mamu as well, who I think is going to get paid. But yeah. No Ceiling is talking about Terrace Reed at 19. Yeah, I can't see it, but like maybe Şengün, Shepherd, Eason, Jaylen Brown. I think the value on that is about right, to be fair. I don't know if either team necessarily would go for it, but like I think the value is fair. I really like Terrace Reed. I just wouldn't like Terrace Reed that high because I think you can trade down and get Terrace Reed, right? I think you can trade down to 24, 25, 26 and still get that player. So drafting him at 19 just seems like bad asset management to me. Why didn't we go in for Claxton? Because we couldn't absorb him. That's the advantage Chicago had. Chicago had the ability because they have so much cap space to just absorb his contract without having to give money back to anybody else, like real money at least. And because they were able to do that, they were the ones that could benefit. The Raptors are already above the cap, right? They're into the luxury tax, like they're expensive. So you can't, that's the thing about having these big contracts. Everybody's like, well, does it matter that Ingram's paid more than he should be and Barrett's paid more and, Pirtle's contract right now, it's still manageable, but next year it jumps huge. And, like there's so many max out value contracts. This is why it's important, because if these guys weren't paid what they are, if they were paid more of the market cap expectations of what their contract should be, then the Raptors would have had money potentially to not absorb Claxton necessarily, but to absorb a player with some money on it, right? I'm live on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Well, it's only 4-2 in the fourth. Steinbach would be in that top group. Like, it's hard to say top pick because, like, if you can get Darren Peterson's my top pick for the Toronto Raptors, right? You know what I mean? I like Steinbach. I think Steinbach would be great. I'm more of a Merez Johnson guy, but they're also in the same tier for me. Yeah, Carr is the dream, Danny. Like, Carr is the damn dream. I got Terrace to Cleveland 28. So I had the same thing yesterday, Howie. Yeah, I had the same pick yesterday in my mock yesterday. So yeah, I just think that if you're Claxton has been the best center on the team the last 2 years. Claxton's been more like, I love Day'Ron Sharpe. I've been pumping Day'Ron Sharpe's tires now for years. Claxton's explosive. Claxton does things that Sharpe can't do, right? But he's also like a bit undersized and like he's not the strongest guy. But obviously Bryson Graham and Chicago Bulls right now are trying to build like a hyper athletic team, and Nick Claxton fits into that mold of just hyper athleticism and switchability and all these things. So like I really like the pickup for the Chicago Bulls. I think it's a really good spot. I think it's a really good spot for him. Yeah, man, the Yaxel stuff. So and this is something I've been talking about for a while. This is something I've made videos about where, like, it's not like he's a bad dude. It's not like he's out there like, robbing banks and like beating up girlfriends and doing despicable shit, but he's immature. Last year he went and then everything was great. And then he started talking to teams. And then all of a sudden it's like, this year he plays, everything's great. He wins a national title. Everything's great. And then he goes to interviews and workouts and all of a sudden things aren't great anymore. And the problem is, like I said, this is an immature person. Like, you can see it when he speaks to the media. You can see it with the Dusty May stuff from earlier in the year and talking about how he's late for practice and like he's not working hard enough and he's out of shape. And there's a maturity thing there, right? And teams, when you're already older and your maturity is not there, that's going to alienate some teams from picking you straight up, right? That's just the reality of the situation. That's just the reality of the situation. Dude, if you can have a starting lineup of Quickley with Carr, Walter, Barnes, Murray Boyles, I know it's not the biggest team, but goddamn. And then you can have a rotational big that can take some larger stuff. Like if you've got, I think Carr and Walter play so beautifully off of each other because they do things in a similar frame, but in a very different way. So I love it personally. Thanks, Kyle. So to me, Colin Murray Boyles, like I said, like for me, the median comparable I always gave for him was Paul Millsap. I think he is not quite as good offensively, but better defensively than Millsap. And Millsap was a hell of a defender at one point in his career. There's a lot of like modern day Ron Artest to Colin Murray Boyles, the way he plays, the physicality. Let's be real. If Ron Artest was in the league in this era, it doesn't matter that he's shorter. He would have been playing 4 minutes heavy. He would have been playing the 5 in small ball lineups as well. So like there's just like a lot of those guys, man. The passing is what kind of sets him aside, right? Colin Murray-Boyles is such a high level passer. He has such a high level feel for the game that I just have a ton of faith in him. I think he's a special player. Sixers go Zuby, St. John's. Yeah, Zuby Ejiofor. I think Zuby would make sense there. I think that they're a Koa Pete team. I think Koa Pete's deficiencies play really well in Philly because Embiid's so hyper perimeter oriented now, right? So it's tricky, right? Wait, who are you saying that you didn't think Presti would draft? Essengay equals Claxton Jr. Essengay is a different style of player, right? Like Essengay is definitely a different style of player. Already know who you're talking about. Hilarious. I'm just answering the questions people are asking. You know what I mean? Ron is a great comp for CMB. Yeah, they just, like I said, there's a tenacity to the way that they play defense that's very, very rare. The aggressiveness that Ron played defense with is special. It's unique, right? It set him apart. And CMB plays with the same level of like kind of fuck you to his game, right? And I love that about him. Yeah, Meta World Peace. Sorry, I'm old. Yeah, I never thought the Reeves to Brooklyn thing was real. And that's a front row Trey Murphy. I hope not. You know, I'd really wait. Sam Presti would never draft who? I'm interested to know who that is. Like who you're talking about. Are you talking about Cam Carr? He'd definitely draft Cam Carr. I don't think he's necessarily the exact guy that he'd want in that spot. But yeah. Who are you taking if Carr and Phylon? If those two are still, it's Carr. I have like guys, unless Yaxel, he's picked other guys with some like not care, like he hasn't picked guys with character issues, but there are guys with like there's been some concerns about like laziness, and there are guys who have slipped in drafts. He had a real bad draft pick a couple years ago where there was concerns about weight and whether he was fully committed, and they still picked him in the first round. It didn't work well, so maybe they learned from their lessons. But you take Phylon over Carr for the Toronto Raptors, who have 947 on-ball players on their roster that all need to play on ball to be. You don't need a point guard though. Like, so this is the thing. This is the thing that kind of drives me crazy about Raptors fans. And this isn't a shot at you. This is a shot at the Raptors thing in general. We think about things in terms of like fantasy sports and 2K rosters. Like you need a point guard. Who do you want being your primary decision maker on the offensive side of the court if you're the Toronto Raptors? Like who do you want with the ball in your hands, setting up your offense if you're the Toronto Raptors and you're building this team towards the future? Like who's that person? You know, this is a legitimate question. If you have the answer in there, like, you know, fire it off. I do play 2K. But like who is the person that you want the Toronto Raptors? It's Scotty Barnes. Okay. So on offense, Scotty Barnes is your point guard. So you're going to draft LeBaron Phylon to take the ball. You're going to draft Phylon to take the ball out of Brandon Ingram's hands. The only thing Brandon Ingram does well on a basketball court is score with the ball in his hands in isolation. So Quickly, who averaged 17, 4, and 6 last year, who was, other than the first 12 games of the year, what he is. I know people hate the contract or whatever, but Quickly was very, very, very good last year. So you've got Quickly who needs shots, and you ain't moving that money. You got Jamal Shed, who can only play on ball, right? Because he's smaller. You got Scotty Barnes, who's the future. You've got RJ Barrett, who is an on-ball player. You got Brandon Ingram, who is an on-ball player. Talked about wanting to get Colin Murray-Boyles high on ball as well. That's going without talking about anybody else on this roster. So now you're going to draft a young point guard who only play, who's going to diminish the value of Shed, who they seem to like. You're going to take the ball out of Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram's hands so you can give it to LeBaron Phylon. And I like Phylon, but like we need to stop thinking about this. So, thank you, Maddie. We need to stop thinking about this so rigidly in the terms of we need a point guard because this position is point guard and this position is shooting guard. Darko Rajakovic runs a 0.5 offense, which means hyper quick, fast read decisions, lots of off-ball movement, quick exchange between ball, right? No point guard. Everybody on the court processing and processing and processing and processing, right? So I really like LeBaron Philon. There are teams that I love LeBaron Philon for. I find it hard unless there are trades, unless Ingram is moved or Barrett is moved or something like that. It's really, 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 really hard to put LeBaron Philon onto this team and say, hey, LeBaron, you're not going to touch the ball, right? You're going to get 7 shots a game. So how else does he affect winning if the ball's not in his hands? Ibuka Okori, even to more an extreme side, because Ibuka Okori is successful with ball in hands. Right. So that's the thing, is if LeBaron Philon is picked and you're going to give him 7 shots a game, how does he affect winning? The defense isn't great. He's 176 pounds. He's not an off-ball player. So how does that draft pick at 19 affect winning now? Get to touch the ball. Right. That's my issue. That's where the issue falls off for me. 2 guards until draft at 19. Yeah. So at 19, 2 guards, Christian Anderson and LeBaron Philon. I guess you'd have to throw Bennett Sturtz in there as well. I would like to throw Sergio De La Reyna in the mix because I would prefer De La Reyna over a couple of those guys. In terms of bigs, I think it's more of a trade down spot. Like obviously if Steinbach or Quaintance or Merez Johnson were to slide, all of those guys are really high on my board. I would love that. If they don't, I'd like to trade back. And if you can trade back, maybe you can get Zuby Ejiofor. You know, if you consider Joshua Jefferson a big, that's a different question. Henri Vesar is somebody who I really like. Terrace Reed, somebody who I'd be happy with. Ugonna and Yensu is somebody who I'm way higher than most. I have him, ranked at, I think, 29. So there's a lot, man. It's a great draft, right? It's a great draft. Very thin in the second round, but great draft overall. No, and like the people do the IQ thing because they see the $32.5 million contract, which again isn't a great contract. But he averaged 17, 4, and 6. He shot 38% from the 3-point line on the highest volume of threes on the team, played functional defense, like net neutral, slightly above neutral, especially when he's off ball. He's actually a better off ball defender than on ball defender in my mind. And he played really well. People hate him because in Toronto, you have to hate somebody. The fan base has to hate somebody all the time. And that's Quickly. Quickly's just that guy, unfortunately. For 2 months last year, between summer league and training camp, it was Colin Murray Boyles. And how quickly did that change? So it's still need a guard, but we have guards. Like this is the thing that like is confusing to me is you have guards on the team. So who isn't a guard? Like you literally have Shed and Quickly who are point guards, right? Like Quickly is a hybrid, is a little bit of a combo. But again, like Scotty Barnes plays point guard on offense 30% of possessions, right? Like again, what is a point guard if the ball is not in their hands? So you're saying we need a point guard. What does that mean? Like what does guard mean right now? If Scotty Barnes is starting the possession and setting your offense, is he not the guard? Right? Like this is where I find with the, like I said, we're very focused on like, we need a 6'1" guy that really dribbles the basketball. And it's like, okay. And that 6'1" guy that can dribble the basketball, who is he taking the basketball away from? So you'd rather have LeBaron Philon setting your offense than Scotty Barnes. Like, what are we talking about here? So it's just that's what's very confusing to me. If Ingram and Barrett are moved away and you get more on-ball reps for other guys, absolutely. Then 100% draft one of the guards. Draft Christian Anderson. I'd love it. But right now it's like, holy shit, man. Like how does he touch the basketball? And if he doesn't touch the basketball, how is he successful in this system? Right. And that's what I want to know, because like there are guys in this draft class that I genuinely love. So, and here, let me comment on this. Sturtz can play off ball. Bennett Sturtz averaged 3 possessions a game off ball last year. 3. He had the highest usage of any player ever. You know what I mean? Every possession Bennett Sturts was on ball. When he played off ball, he basically stood in the corner and took a breather for a minute. That was how they used him. So can Bennett Sturts play off ball? We have no idea. Can Bennett Sturts theoretically, based off of his skill set, adapt to an off-ball role? I think so, but we haven't seen it. We didn't see it at Drake. We didn't see it at Iowa. He plays on ball all the time, and he plays on ball in pick and roll all the time. His systems didn't allow him to show what he could be as an off-ball player because he had to do everything for those teams forever on every possession, 39 minutes a game with ball in his hands from pick and roll, right? So it's a really, really tough thing because you can say Bennett Sturts can play off ball, but we've never seen it. You know who we've seen play off ball significantly more than Bennett Sturts? Christian Harrison. We've seen Christian Harrison play off ball and it's went really well, right? We've never really seen extended stretches of Bennett Sturts playing off ball. I think he can, but it's all hypothetical at this point. You know, and that's not me giving you a hard time either. Like, it's a valid point. I just hear a lot of people say in absolutes, like, Bennett Sturts can play off ball. How do we know? Right? How do we know? Because we've never seen it. And if we haven't seen it, how do we know? I really like Christian Harrison. Best shooter in the draft. One of the better high-level passing read players in the draft class. And he's a disruptive defender. He's not a good defender, but he's disruptive at least. Raptors' biggest positional need. It's probably a big. I think it's a big more than anything else. I think a big that could space the floor would be the ultimate dream. But yeah, they've kind of got like light needs everywhere. Their biggest thing is that they need a guy, right? They don't need like a few more depth guys. They need a guy that's not a flawed guy, right? They needed, this is why I was in favor of tanking over the past few years, because you really need to go get a guy, right? This roster needs a Darren Peterson. Right. This roster needs an AJ Demanston, right? This roster needs a guy, like a legitimate dude. Brandon Ingram's like a good scorer. And RJ Barrett's a good player. He's flawed at the things he doesn't do. He doesn't do it all, but the things he does them pretty well. There's a lot of just like almost there guys, right? You need another guy to be over the top, right? And it's hard to find that at 19. Thoughts on De La Rey? I think De La Rey is super fun. Like, is he going to get picked on defensively a bit? Yeah, he works his ass off on defense, though. I've loved the defensive tape, even though it's not good. You know, it's fun. He's active. He fights. The offensive skill set, he shoots it really, really well. He can shoot it from kind of all three phases of jump shots, which is awesome in terms of dribble, spot up, or even on step backs and things like that. He's got really good footwork. I think the passing reads are really good, and you've seen him throw passes with the left and the right, which is awesome. He's got requisite size to see higher level passing reads. I've been a big fan of the tape, man. I've been really diving through the tape more and more recently. I had him ranked, I think, at 21 or 22, maybe even 20, in that range, though. Yeah. Who's the player Dallas would be ecstatic for? Dallas at 9, Braden Burries is just the perfect player for that team. If Dallas can get Braden Burries, I think their team is just completely filled out. He's the perfect guard to play next to Kyrie Irving. He's the perfect guard to play next to Cooper Flagg and the bigs that they have. He's a mortar player. He's a guy that holds everything together and just fills all the gaps you need. His game is so malleable and scalable. I think he's just the ultimate, I'm going to be a star at whatever role I play. And you can just change his role as time goes on. A lot like Derek White and Drew Holiday, and he's one of those guys. Like, they're not the same player, but that's how he is. He's one of those dudes where it's just like, you need me to score tonight? Okay, I'll be a scorer. You need me to be a distributor? Oh, I'll be a distributor. You need me to stand in this corner and hit threes? I can do that. Be a transition guy? Sure. You want me to defend the number one option? I got that. He just does everything, and I just think he's just a winning ball player. You know, he's just a dude that's going to win for a long time, I think. But yeah, I know I have Braden Burries at number 5 on my board. So I'm a huge believer in Shane Bieber's always thrown 91. Like, Shane Bieber, even his Cy Young year, only averaged like 92.2 on his fastball. He's never thrown hard. Right? Like, people need to recognize that. So that's the only time I'm going to mention the Blue Jays today, but that one, those comments kind of frustrate me because that's how he's always been. He's always been 90 and 93. Yeah, the Miles Turner thing, as long as you don't have to give up a first round pick for it, I'm fine. Steinbach at 19 would be a dream. Like Steinbach at 19 would be like an absolute steal, right? If Steinbach or Merez Johnston or Cam Carr or one of those guys gets to 19, you just sprint to the podium, right? Doubling down on negative spacing and health. So you'd rather have who then? Nico. Thoughts on trading back to jump. So if it's a trade back, like let's say the New York Knicks, it's not the Knicks, but like I just have 24 in my head. But let's say the Knicks were like, we'll take on Pirtle's contract and we'll take 19, you slide back 24. Yeah, I do that in a goddamn second. But like I don't know if that something like that's gonna happen. If Dallas was like, hey, we'll take on that Pirtle contract and we'll go from 19 to 30, I'd still probably be down with it, but like I'd have a little bit more hesitation. Scotty couldn't be the guy. Well, I think you need another guy. Like you can't just have one guy. There's no second guy. Like I think Colin Murray-Boyles has the potential to be that guy. He's not that guy yet, right? And like, hey, like I said, I'm wearing the jersey. People accuse me of being a propaganda channel for Colin Murray-Boyles. He's not that guy yet. You need a second guy. Brandon Ingram's not that guy. People are like, oh, he made an all-star team. Yeah, after 9 guys weren't able to go, right? He made an all-star game because he averaged 22 a game at that point. And it was the awful efficiency, just like Jose Canseco. If you're a Blue Jays fan and you're older, you'll understand what I'm saying. Brandon Ingram is Jose Canseco, right? Like it's Blue Jays Jose Canseco. It's like if you needed a home run in the 9th in a close game, Canseco is going to K. But man, if you were up 9-1 in the 3rd, you can guarantee that guy's hitting the bomb. That's kind of how I feel about Brandon Ingram. It's like when shit doesn't matter, yeah, he's a 25 a game scorer when it doesn't matter. In games where you're up 32, like, yeah, he's great at getting buckets. Early in games when the pressure's off, he's doing those things. It gets to late and close, and he was 32% from the field this year. And people were like, oh, well, maybe he'll figure it out. I was on with Penn State basketball the other day, like Rob, and he said, well, like maybe he'll still figure it out. And this isn't a shot at Rob, because I just hear this all the time. He is 29 years old. He's been in the league 11 years. This isn't some young kid that's barely had a chance. This was a number 2 overall pick who's been in the league for 11 years. And it's still the same shit being talked about that was talked about 11 years ago and 5 years ago and 8 years ago and 3 years ago, right? Maybe the playoffs would be a wake-up call for him. Dude, we went through this exact same conversation in 2024 when Zion went out and, Brandon Ingram was the dude, and he went out and shot 30% from the field and scored 14 a game, and they got swept. And people were like, maybe this is Brandon Ingram's wake-up call. Sometimes this is just part of the DNA, guys. Sometimes this is just who a dude is, right? Where is Dalen Swain on my board? I think I have Dalen at 21. Hold on. Dalen's at 21. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get them. I like a Daimara, but number 6 is just way too fucking high for me. Number 6 is way, way too high for me. Oh shit, I thought there was no more questions on here. Sorry, YouTube and Instagram people. I thought I was all caught up in the chat, and then I look and it would be like, oh, there's 50 new messages. My apologies. RJ Barrett for Ron Hall in 21. I would drive RJ to the airport. Shit, I wouldn't drive him to the airport. I would drive him to Detroit for that deal. I'd do that tonight. So if that's the case, like I'm in, 150%. I'm down for that. IQ is better off ball as a offensive or a defensive player. Really IQ, but it's hard to get off his shot. He had the highest volume of 3-point attempts of any player on the Toronto Raptors, so it wasn't very hard to get his shot off. Secondary creator is the correct wording for who? Like, what are we talking about? No. Well, no, I'm not saying RJ and BI are the core. I'm saying that Bobby Webster pays them to be the core. That's the reality. They make $70 million between the two of them this season. That's the core, right? Those are two team. Whether you want to phrase it as it or not, they had the opportunity to not have Brandon Ingram, and instead they traded draft capital to get him. And then they had the option to not re-sign him, and instead they decided to give him $10 million more than any other team in basketball that was willing to sign him for personally by his agent publicly. That sounds like a core piece to me. So you traded draft capital for him and paid him well above market price to keep him. That's the epitome of this is a core player, right? Is he good enough to be a core player? No. Is he a core player? Unfortunately, yes. This is also going to be a rookie. Nobody is moving mountains for a 19th pick. Okay. But again, like this isn't like a regular draft. You can get a really good player that can impact this year. I'm not saying it's going to be a superstar this year, but why would you pick a guy that's not going to impact? Right? So you're going to draft LeBaron Philon, and then what? Jamal Shedd's just off the roster then? So like just move Jamal Shedd because he's your third string point guard, and you can't play Philon and Shedd together. So, now Shedd's value is diminished, and he's going into free agency. So, or you continue to play Shedd, and then what? You just drafted Philon 19, and now Philon doesn't play unless there's an injury. So you got what? Philon in the G League? What's the point of that? When you can go get a roster guy that's actually going to impact the game. Right? Like that's I don't get it. You know what I mean? I just don't kind of see the logic of it. Again, really like the player, just don't like the fit. And then part of that fit issue is that the Raptors roster construction is just like really clunky. Thoughts on a Turner trade? As long as we don't have to trade a first round pick to get him, I'd be fine with it. But like, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they want a first for it. I don't see. Yeah, I don't love the Zion to Boston fit at all. Like he doesn't do any of the things Mazzulla wants to do. He doesn't shoot the three on offense. He's not a quick processor, and he can't defensively switch. So I don't like the Zion fit anywhere else around there. Quickly Walter, Ingram, Barnes, and CMB. At 8:00. Yeah, man. So I would love that, Penny. I would love that because I definitely, like I said, I am not anti-guard, but like if you draft a guard, you better make a trade, right? If you draft a guard, you better make a trade. Wait, what comp? I don't know if they're gonna pick one of the Michigan guys. Like I get it. Like who's the fit from the Michigan guys? Like you just locked up PJ Washington to a shit ton of money. You've got Cooper Flag, you've got Lively, and I guess if you move Gafford, then maybe draft Mara if he's still there. I don't know, man. I think they need a guard. Like Kyrie's got injury issues. Ryan Nembhard's not very good. Christie's not great. Like, Brandon Williams is fine. They need another guard, right? I don't even think he's a lesser Derek White. They're just different, right? So I've been doing that comp for a while with Derek White. But it's just like I said, it's just he's a jack of all trades. He does everything well. A protected one, it better be like heavily protected, man. The Lakers don't have cap room because like they have a massive, like not massive, but a large Austin Reeves cap hold and rate hold too. So so like right now they don't have cap space. Like they'll be able to use their MLE most likely. If LeBron ends up not coming back and they get rid of that cap hold, they'll have a little bit of money to spend for sure. But like it depends on that LeBron movement right now. But sure. Anthony Edwards to Toronto, I don't see that ever happening. Yeah, well, and like I said, like you're not going to find somebody who's bigger on Calmer. Like I've had to shovel so much shit this year because of draft takes that I made last year, where I talked about Colin Murray Boyles and everybody's freaking out. Oh, he doesn't want to be here. Oh, he can't shoot. You can't play him and Scotty together. Oh my God, he's not good. Like like why would you draft a guy that you can get at 25 at 9? I had to hear all the shit. I had to hear all of it for months and months and months and months, and every smart person on the internet telling me how dumb I was for how high I was on Colin Murray Boyles. Where are they all at now? Right? Where are they all at? But what you need is you need a real high level scorer next to those two guys. Preferably somebody that can space the floor very effectively next to those two guys. Brandon Ingram ain't that guy. right? RJ Barrett's not that guy. Those are fine players. Those are fine players. Those are flawed players. Those are wildly expensive players, but they're fine at what they do, right? I think Mamu probably goes. I think that's the most likely thing. What do you mean we haven't had a big, like, what does that take? We haven't had a big enough Brandon Ingram sample size? Brandon Ingram has played 11 years in the NBA. Like, what sample size do you need that 11 years of playing won't tell you? Like, this guy gets more grace than any player ever. Like, it's wild, man. The Ingram people, the Ingram stands are crazy. They're like, oh, well, he's still young. It's like, dude, he's closer to 30 than he is 27. Like, what are we talking about? He's still young. He's going to be 30 years old. 11 years he's played in the league. 11 years. Like, Brandon Ingram career games. How many career games has Brandon Ingram played? Because I tell you, it's a whole lot. He's played basically 600 career games. Like, what are we talking about? Need more sample size. The sample size is there. It's a massive sample size. It's an enormous, enormous sample size. Even as Toronto Raptors fans, we saw him take 1,300 field goal attempts last year. 1,300. Like, size. Like, that's a crazy statement, Amer. I like you too, but that's a crazy statement. Sturt's the best shot making guard. That's a wild statement too, man. People love their white guys. I'm gonna tell you right now, every dude that loves Bennett Sturts kind of looks like Bennett Sturts. That's the one thing I've noticed. Like, you guys would have been so high on a certain other white dude from BYU a bunch of years ago. I'll tell you that much. Bennett Sturts is an excellent shooter. He is by no means the best shot maker in the class. He has a hard time separating. He's had a hard time getting to the rim and consistently finishing against NBA bodies. His 3-point percentage nosedived at the end of the year. So, like, he wasn't, there's an argument to make. He wasn't even the best shot maker on his own team. Right. So it's a crazy one. People, like I said, people love their Bennett Sturts. I mean, like, I don't know. It's very it's very weird because, like, I like Bennett Sturts, but man, the hype shit on Bennett Sturts has been getting crazy, right? Sample size in the playoffs, guys don't just transform. Okay, in playoff, so let me just do it. I'm gonna rant about branding then I'm done. And unless you YouTube and Instagram commenters, I will answer a bunch of your questions right now because I've been ignoring a little bit. In the playoffs, the guys who are they typically like low energy, low effort, stationary, mid-post isolation, heliocentric mid-range scorers who don't defend? Is that typically the guy who you just see go, man, that guy rose to the moment in the playoffs? State the case. State the case of the guy with the energy level and the effort level on defense and the very, like, entitled approach to offense that he has. Because let's be real, I made a video about this. Me as a screener, dude, they were trying to run you off pin downs to get your ass open because you can only score from one spot on the floor. You know what I mean? Like, that's a problem that I have, right? He's an excuse maker. He has been. I'm a Duke fan. I've been watching this now for a decade plus. You know what I mean? Very, very talented guy. What about his personality, his effort level, his defensive effort, his offensive versatility or lack thereof gives you the interpretation that, like, man, he's going to figure it out. He's a guy who's going to elevate his game. It's like, what do you mean? State the case of the other lazy, one-dimensional dude who just, like, all of a sudden playoff time came and it's like, man, that guy's the guy. It's just, come on, stop. Right? OKC, man, Merez Johnson makes a lot of sense to me for OKC. I'm trying to think of who I had them getting in the mock draft yesterday. I had them grabbing a few different dudes yesterday. Graves is fine. I think that Graves, there's a couple red flags with Graves that give me his performance against, like, Ken Palm 100 teams. It was bad. when Allen Graves faced good teams, like Allen Graves didn't look good, and those steal and block rates went from 5% down to about 2.2. His ability to get his three ball off went down significantly. His playing time went down. Faster players exposed him. Like, he really has to play center on defense in the NBA level because his feet are just not good. Unbelievable hands, unbelievable anticipation. I think he can process the things that he needs to get to. I just don't know if he can physically get to them. And that's the issue at the NBA level. So I like it conceptual fit for Allen Graves than a lot of places because Murray Boyles and Barnes being able to insulate some of his mobility weaknesses. At 19, I'd hate it. At 29, I'd be fine with it. But at 19, no thanks. Wilson on the Raptors, that would be delightful. That would be delightful. That is unfortunately not going to happen. 19, Kobe figured it out. Yeah, and that's young players figure it out, and certain player types with a certain level of like FU and intensity of their game figure it out. The BI is going to figure it out stuff. It's like, dude, he's not young, and nothing has changed, right? I wouldn't want to take either. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to take either of those offers for Giannis. The Boston one I would have liked because I think you can get a lot for Jaylen Brown on the reroute. But like, I don't love either deal. So yeah. Wow, the disrespect. RJ is the future. He showed he can be great in the playoffs. RJ was really good in the playoffs, but RJ was also able to perform in that role because the guys around him and what they were doing for him to insulate his game, right? Like, our RJ was very good. It wasn't always good in the playoffs, right? Like, I know people like offensive highlights, and scoring is super important. What that team has to do to protect him on the defensive side and insulate him on the defensive side is a hindrance to that team, right? That's just the reality. And no offense, it's not like he's some young kid that's on a rookie deal and he's trying to figure it out. RJ's another guy. He's been paid almost $30 million a year, right? He's already been paid. This was a top pick. RJ's a fine player. RJ's not, by no means an elite player, right? Trae Young deal is wild. The Trae Young deal is wild. Yeah, it's a wild deal. I would have never given him that deal. No, I would have never traded for him though either, to be fair. So AC saying is that I have a tier of players. So I have a tier from essentially 1 to 4. It's kind of 1A, 1B between the first and second guys and the third and fourth, which are in slightly different tiers. I have a tier from 5 to 14. And like I said, if any of those players were to slide to 19, you immediately draft that player. A tier of players from 15 until 28. So I'm not saying draft for fit. I'm saying that if you have two players who are in the same tier, then yeah, draft the one that fits better if you have them ranked similarly. But again, like I've said a million times, if Cam Carr were to drop, or Merez Johnson were to drop, or Hans Steinbach were to drop, or somebody like that, then yeah, you grab the more talented guy and you worry about fit later. But if you're drafting between a bunch of guards and a bunch of bigs that are all in the same tier that you kind of rank similarly, then yes, I would take fit over what then? Yeah, Burries to the Mavs just makes so much sense to me. Quick better as a 1 or a 2 on offense or defense. On defense, he plays better as a 2. So he's going to get bullied sometimes, but I like him off ball rather than his primary point of attack defender. He traded for like 12. We trade like RJ or Quick. No chance. Oklahoma City wants to shed money, not to pick up money. Please predict top 5 free agents will sign where. I'd have to look up a top 5. You put the top 5 free agents in the thing, and I'll call it out. Oh, you literally did that. Well, Reeves, Kessler, Duren, LBJ, Harden. Okay, Reeves, Lakers, Kessler, Utah, Duren, Detroit, Harden stays in Cleveland. LeBron James goes to the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, no, if we could, like I said, thanks. Why? I appreciate that, dude. Any tips for getting your face out there and breaking the anxiety of content. So I do have a diagnosed anxiety condition, and I've been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder as well. So I do have mental health diagnosis. This was a thing that I did to kind of assist with my social discomfort because I am not a socializer. I'm not a natural person in terms of social kind of engagement. And this was something I did to kind of break myself out of it now. And like I tell you, it's made things easier. I think that the biggest thing is you just expose yourself to more and more uncomfortable situations, and then you figure out ways to process those feelings after the fact, and really figure out ways to kind of like introspect and kind of figure out how to kind of find those things and navigate the discomfort and the anxiety of it. And it becomes easier over time, right? You figure out what your triggers are, you figure out what aspects of content you're good at and what aspects make you uncomfortable, and you just keep trying to grow from there, right? And that's been what the journey's been for me so far. So that's a phenomenal question. I appreciate that question. Yeah, like how much more sample size? This is a Colin Murray Boyles jersey. Obviously, that's my guy. You know, I think AJ's going to go number one. I do have DP ranked number one though. I won't be on during the draft because the draft is like a big thing for my family, and I've got two teenage sons who are like wildly supportive of the content that I do. And they love watching the draft with me, and that's very special night in our household. So I'm going to do a pre-show, and then I'm going to do a post-show afterwards, breaking it down, doing some draft grades. But during the show, I'm going to spend with my kids because that's what we do every single year since they were little. So yeah. Thunder go after Kawhi. He's not really their type of dude. Raptors don't have the assets to get Jaylen Brown. Who do you think the Raptors will draft? You can only name one guy. So yesterday in my mock draft, I had Jaden Quaintance going there. Who you want 19? Like I said, want would be probably Morez Johnson. Like Morez Johnson, I think is like the best fit for this team. He's not going to get there though. Senak Jr., it's just all projection. Can he shoot? I think so. Can he defend? Maybe down the road. Can he rebound? Yeah. Can he dribble? Not yet, but maybe he'll be able to. You know, can he switch on the perimeter? Hasn't shown it, but like there's the chance he can. Does he block shots? No, but maybe he will. Right? It's a lot of that, right? So you need a lot of things to go right because right now there's just a lot of stuff that like he doesn't do. You know, yeah, Morez, Steinbach, Carr, Quaintance would be not necessarily in that order, but those are guys that I'm obviously super high on. Braden Burries, like, you know, I mean, have Braden Burries just slide. I'm going to start spreading rumors. And hopefully he slides 19. Yeah, I don't want to see Graves at 19, man. Like I have Graves ranked 28 in this class, and even 28, I was like, oh shit, is that too high? So it's a tricky one. Like I'm for San Antonio actually. If Graves goes to San Antonio, I actually really like that fit because Victor and Carter Bryant can hide so many of his issues. But yeah, Josh Jefferson is the guy people. Yeah, dude, Kev, dude. I don't know if did you hear me say that yesterday? Because I said that exact statement yesterday. That I said that Josh Jefferson is the guy that people think Allen Graves is. But yeah, I love Josh Jefferson. Josh Jefferson's awesome. Yeah, I think Josh Jefferson is awesome. Yeah, that's the advantage, Marcus. That's the value of having cap space, right? You can just absorb a dude. Would you do number 11 for Trey Murphy? Yes, they're trying to win. I would 100% do that trade if I were them. Who knows what you'll need to do for Murphy? I still don't fully understand why they're wanting to trade Trey Murphy. That one's confusing me. And just a quick pause here, guys. If you're watching on TikTok or Instagram, if you guys want, it would be a huge help to me if you can pop over to YouTube. The link tree is in my bio and give me a follow over on YouTube. I'm really, really, really trying to blow it up. It would be nice if I can get to 1,000 followers like real quick here. That'd be a dope thing for me. So if you're a YouTube person and if you would like to do me the favor of jumping over to YouTube, where I'm also streaming this live, and giving me a follow over there and subscribing to the channel, that would be a beautiful thing. And I would appreciate it a great deal because I'm working really, really hard on long form content and I've gotten so much support. But, like I say, if you guys could do that for me, that would be unbelievable. And you don't subscribe to me, like, figure it out, guys. Sell me on Steinbach. Oh, okay. I can definitely sell you on Hans. 6'10.5", long, athletic, mobile, great hips, like really understands, very fluid on the offensive side, unbelievable. His hands, when something is near him, he catches it. Right? Are elite, like unbelievable, great touch. Long term, he will shoot. I think his rookie season, he will shoot. I really do believe in his long-term jump shooting. Feel for post work, the single best rebounder in this draft class, and it's not close. He is the best actual rebounder. He is an intelligent rebounder who scraps his way to the weak side on offensive and defensive glass. He really understands space. Like the rebounding IQ is off the charts. Like he is unbelievable technically as a rebounder, and those hands are made out of gold. I think the kid is wonderful, and I think there's even some on-ball future projection with him that could be rather good. But man, the more I watched him this year, the more I just fell in love with his game. Hornets need a big and a guard. So, Bill, did you watch my mock draft? Because Bill, if you watched my mock draft, you'd be very, very happy with what happened yesterday then. Yeah, man. My kids are everything to me. And so that's the, thanks, man. But yeah, no, I always want to make sure that, thank you. That like my kids, like I said, our family stuff. I'd love to do an NBA live broadcast with you guys during the draft and stuff like that. But that's a special thing with me and my children, right? So maybe when they get a little bit bigger. Lopez is a tough one because if you told me he went 10 to Milwaukee, I'd go okay. And if you told me he slid to the second round, I'd go okay. It's all projection. So people are like, oh, he defends. How he was used as a defender in the NBL, he can't do that role in the NBA. They were using him as like a weak side rotational backside defender. He can't play that role in the NBA, right? His point of attack defense is a mess. His off-ball defense is a mess. Like he can't guard anybody. He'll block a shot and get a steal here and there, right? So like the guys who love fantasy sports but don't actually watch games, they're going to like him sometimes because they're like, man, blocking a steal. Jump shot, I don't really believe in it. We'll see if it develops. He's really just like a physical bully with the basketball. He likes to get downhill, use his shoulders. The overall craft isn't great. He's not like a plus athlete or anything. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like he needs the ball in his hands to be successful, but he's not good enough with the ball in his hands to be that guy. So I don't get it, man. If he turned into Tobias Harris, I could be like, okay, I could see him turning into Tobias Harris down the road and just end up being a really good pro. But like if he was a guy that didn't get a second NBA contract, I wouldn't be shocked either, right? So there's just a lot of potential outcomes. Yeah, Terrace had a good workout from what I heard, man. I heard that from a few people. Rough Toronto fan? What do you mean? They would not trade for the 11th pick. Yeah, no, I think they'd need more than that. The one thing I will say is that like Troy Weaver is maybe the dumbest person in professional sports, and Joe Dumars is terrible. So if any team was going to trade Trey Murphy for a pick, yeah, that'd be them. Those would be the guys. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's them or Scott Perry. Like that's really the whole team. You know what I mean? Like that's all the super dumb guys, so sorry, Kings fans are weird. They're gonna get mad that I talked shit there. But it's just the reality. Who are your top 5 picks for the Raptors for like realistic picks? Because like I said, if you're talking unrealistic, it's top 5 guys in the draft. I will preface and say like if Steinbach, Morez Johnson, Cam Carr were to slide, those guys would fit right at the top of my board. For guys that are actually in the range, I like 10. Some of them or trade back as well. Like I really love Henri Vesar, but like I wouldn't necessarily love it at 19 so much. And I really like Zubi Ejiofor, but I'd prefer if they didn't pick him at 19. But like Yaxel, if the news about Yaxel, like Yaxel Lendeberg would probably be my top guy there because I have him ranked real high. Sergio De La Rey, I think makes more sense than one of the small guards. And then like that combination of small guards, led Anderson is the best of the fits. Josh Jefferson's a guy that I really love. That I think his ball movement would fit so well in a 0.5 offense. He's got enough beef on him to shore up a front court and then have three guys who none of them are really a center, but they're all big, strong, physical, multifaceted defenders. So I think there are ways to kind of get around needing a 7-footer if you do it with proper roster construction. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, dude. What's going on, Andrew? How you doing? Who do you think the Bucks take at 10 and 13? Yesterday, I mocked them grabbing Amon and Kingston Flemings because I predicted that Giannis trade. So in my mock, the Giannis trade was already done. Like it hadn't happened yet, but like that was the guess that I took. Saw some Julius Randle except for he's not as like physically coordinated. Like the advantage of Randle was he was like so unbelievably coordinated and like ridiculously strong. Lopez isn't, like it's kind of awkward movement and like he's strong, but he's strong at like bullying small players. Randle was just strong. And like Randle was also like a very good passer, a reluctant passer, but when he decided to do it, the passing reads were awesome. Kerm Lopez is like a zero vision player at this point. So like, I get it with the physicality though. I get it from that side of it for sure though. How you feel with Phylon? I love Phylon. I just don't love Phylon for the Raptors. I think it's a smokescreen. I think the Yaxel stuff is a smokescreen. I think that's planted by somebody. I think there's a team at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 that really wants Yaxel. And so they put it out there that he bombed a workout. Now, here's the other thing. Yaxel went to the draft last year and the combine last year and did tank interviews. So he was viewed as a top 20, 25 pick. Teams started talking to him and they went, no thanks, because the maturity stuff is real. Yeah, no, it's a question. Like Yaxel is definitely a unique individual, let's say. Like he's a unique individual. He definitely does his own thing. And that's that's tricky. So sometimes that's a tricky thing. We'll see what it ends up equaling, but if Yak slides though, like I'm 100% in favor of it. Mogbo. No, Mogbo's better than that. Like Jonathan Mogbo's better than that. Like he's actually like Thanasis can't play, right? Mogbo is actually like a really solid defender, like an excellent defensive player. And like he has some really fun passing skills and stuff. He just, like I said, he can't activate his passing because his offense is such a non-factor. But defensively, like he's a dog. Like he plays his ass off on defense. He's like not just a hard-working defender, like he's a very good defender as well. I am going to lean off screen for 1 second so I can take a drink. Because I had a beverage that I can't show on the internet. So, yeah, man, I nailed that. I nailed that trade. Who do you think is the better player between Christian Harrison and Ben Sturge? Ben Sturge may end up being the better player, but if you're comparing ceiling, there's no comparison on ceiling. Christian Harrison's ceiling is one of the higher ceilings in this draft, right? Whether or not he reaches that ceiling, there's a lot more questions about that. But the passing reads, the jump shooting, like the only thing that Bennett Sturts is better at than Christian Anderson right now would be at the college level getting to the rim. I think at the NBA level, Christian Anderson is going to do a better job getting to the rim than Bennett Sturts. That's the reality. And like people are going to be like, oh, well, he didn't turn the ball over as much because his passing reads were super basic. Like he's a really good A to B passer. Like Sturts is like a great decision maker. But it's not elite level passing reads. It's for the most part, he makes the right pass. Christian Harrison made elite reads as a passer, like over and over and over, elite reads. So it's just a different game, right? Like there's just a different ceiling between those two guys. Having a triple bogey. I went to the United States this past weekend for my coaching, and I decided to bring back a like a whole bunch of different beverages. I think LeBron goes to Golden State Warriors. No, nobody's gonna have interest in Grady for anything, of value. Shed isn't his value to others. He is from us from team culture. I agree, man. I think Jamal Shedd's a good player, man. Toronto wanted to get a guard. How many picks of value does Shed add to 19? None. Shed doesn't move you up. Like, I don't know if adding Shed, like, maybe it would move you to 18. You know what I mean? Like, if Charlotte didn't want to bring back Kobe White and you were like, we'll give you 19 and Shed for 18, they'd probably go for that. I imagine they'd go for that trade. But, like, that's it. That's the extent of it. And you're really not moving up a tier there. They're very different. Maisie, they're just very different body types. Have you posted the actual big board non-mock? Yeah, on my last mock, I did a full big board run through on that mock draft that I put out yesterday. So the first half of the video is the first, like, I don't know, quarter of the video or whatever is the mock draft, or is the big board. And then on Instagram and TikTok and on Twitter as well, I posted my big board. The top 30, I couldn't get like a graphic for the top 60. So, but I do have 61 players ranked. Ibuka Okori is better for the Raptors than Anderson? Ibuka Okori is a downhill penetrating guard with reasonable passing skills that needs the ball in his hands to be successful. Christian Harrison's the best shooter in the draft with elite level passing. So yeah, I don't see how. Yeah, we'll see who slides. Somebody will slide, right? It does pretty much happen every year. No, I think he goes to the Warriors, man. What does a perfect offseason look for the Lakers? One of the bigs, like one of the good bigs slides to their spot. And they're able to grab a big with that spot. Somebody came on my YouTube and was like, they never draft bigs. And it's like, yeah, and they need to. That's why they're big situations in the situations is because they don't draft bigs. But yeah, one of the good bigs slides to their spot. Austin Reeves resigns. I love LeBron James, but LeBron James exits to go elsewhere so they can use that cap space and kind of reset their timeline. That would be big for them. And they go out and get some sort of big physical hybrid forward. I'm trying to think of who would be on the market right now. I'd have to really, really look at it. No, LeBron's going to sign for the MLE. That's my guess. Cass, thank you so much. Yeah, the Steinbach slide would be great, but I just don't see that ever happening. Financials are weird. Yeah. Well, it's not even weird. Like, he'd have to sign for the minimum, and like he's not signed for the minimum. And like, unless they're going to do a sign and trade for Jared Allen or something, which, like, if he's willing to match dollar for dollar, what the Jared Allen contract is, but then the Lakers don't have the cap space either, and the cap hold for Reeves kind of makes less sense. I don't think Jared Allen's the center that's going to put them over the top anyways necessarily. And like, what they have to add additional value to get Jared Allen, like, I don't know. It would be so tough, man, unless he's willing to take the minimum. And like, if he took the minimum, the players unit would fucking lose it on him, right? Like, they would lose it. So, people are always like, man, he's made enough money. Why doesn't he just take less? They're in a union, dude. They're in a union. Raptors trade up to the top 10. I don't think we have the assets to trade up to the top 10. That's the issue. And again, I like Okori. Don't take this as I'm not an Okori guy. I'm not an Okori guy for the Toronto Raptors with this current roster construction because there's just not enough touches to go around for him. That's the issue. Yeah, I think Mamu's gone. Somebody's going to throw money at him. Somebody's going to throw like 13 million a year or 12 million a year. And right now we don't have access to our full MLE. The most we could offer him right now is like 8.5, I think. If somebody would take Grady Dick for free, that would open up the full MLE. I don't think somebody's going to take him for free necessarily unless you attach asset capital. We don't have a ton of asset capital. Like, we're not in a positive asset capital standing. So it's tough to make that move to get off of an expiring. So it's tricky. So unless, RJ Barrett gets traded and they're able to save $7 or $8 million off the books in an RJ Barrett trade or something, it's almost impossible to keep Mamu if somebody else is going to offer him 12 or 13 or 14. Right. And I think somebody will. Have you looked at anybody at 50 for the Raptors? Shit, of course I have. Who do you think you're talking to, Jawad? Who would I like at 50? Shit. Tyler Nickel would fit very well at 50. I think that you could go with the athletes if you want to. You could also go with like Malik Brown, like defensive versatility as a big. Ischenko is somebody who I really like. If Jaron Pierre Jr. were still there, that's a guard that I'd really like. This is another reason why I don't necessarily want guard at 19, because I think that the one thing this draft has is a shit ton of guards. And I think you can manufacture a slide. And I think there's a chance that you can manufacture one of those better guards, like a Jaden Bradley or somebody sliding to 50 because you have a guaranteed contract to offer them, where the teams above you might only have a two-way. We see this every year in the draft where good players slide in round 2 because they can have a guaranteed contract from certain teams, and certain teams can only offer them two ways. So there's a whole bunch of guys. Like if Kadir Copeland dropped, I like Kadir Copeland's fit on this team better than I like Ibuka Okori's. Now, that is not to think that I think that Copeland's a better player than Okori. He's not. But I think he fits better with this team, right? So, if, maybe Baba Miller drops, even taking a chance on, like, I think Milos Uzan is going to be a good player, man. I think Otega Owe has some things about him that are fun. Tyler Bilodeau makes a ton of sense for this team. Does he frustrate me? Yes. Do I have him ranked at 56? Yes. But he's a big physical guy who shoots the shit out of a three, and he defensively rebounds. Sounds like a guy we could use. Doesn't block shots, nothing like that. But there's a lot of dudes, man. Like I said, I put out my full big board yesterday during that mock draft video. So on Yensu drop, that would be amazing. But I think there are a bunch of like second round guards, and I think you can manufacture a slide to 50 for one of them between Bruce Thornton, who I been projecting to go round 1, but still Emmanuel Sharp, Richie Saunders, Jack Cale, Jaden Bradley, Kadir Copeland, Jaron Pierre Jr., Milos Uzan, Braden Smith, who I wouldn't go the Braden Smith route though. Tyler Nickel, who's more of a wing forward, Kylan Boswell, Jacoby Gillespie is there, Darian Williams there. Like there's a ton of guards. That's why I think it's way less urgent to grab the guard at 19, especially if that guard's not a perfect fit. Because I'll tell you this, I am exceptionally high on a few of these second round guards. Right? I really believe in a few of these second round guards. I think Jaden Bradley is going to be a really good basketball player. So yeah, I am the new starting center for the Toronto Raptors. You can't sign Austin Reeves to the max. That's the cost of doing business. Caravan, I'm not a Caravan guy. I have Caravan, I think, ranked 48. 47. Sorry, Alex. I don't like the lack of versatility to his game, and I don't believe in the shooting as much as I believed in like Sam Hauser shooting. You know what I mean? So do you think Mamu's gone? Yeah, Mamu's probably gone. Well, and here's the thing. It's hard to play guys that don't defend in the playoffs. Right? That's the reality of it. Sinek, I don't think they should draft Sinek. I don't think Sinek's ready to play in the NBA, right? He's going to need at least one full year of development. Yeah, Clay stretch and wave. I don't know if they'll go that, or they might go that route. Yeah, I saw the Varsho home run. Jalen Williams, we thought about him, Santa Clara. So I was higher on Jalen Williams than most people. I had J-Dub at 5 in his draft class. So I really liked him. I think that he's turned into an awesome player. I'd be very, very interested to see if they would move him. Like if it came down to having to lose one of them, I wonder if they'd ever move him. But I don't think they're in a position to ever think about that. But like, I didn't see him becoming this good. So like, I didn't think he was going to become like a second team all NBA guy, but I thought he was going to be like Chris Middleton. Now I know Middleton was also an all NBA guy, but like I really did see like that was my comp for J Dub coming out was Chris Middleton, right? And like honestly, there was a couple other guys that I compared him to, but like just that type of role. So it wasn't even about play style; it was about that role where like you're not quite a superstar, but you're such a good like you're above a superstar role player, but you don't quite get the respect of being like a true star. But like that's who I thought he was. I thought he was going to be Middleton, which is like a huge compliment for me because I think Middleton's awesome. Was awesome. No, I've only been live for hour and a half. Nate Amon. Nate Amon frustrates me. Nate Amon is incredibly talented. He's got just remarkable talent and fluidity, and I think he's a smart kid. It's kind of like the Senac thing and the Karim Lopez thing. It's like, can he do this? I have no idea. Did he do it? No. Will he do it? Maybe. And that's almost every skill of Amon. So I think he has to play the 4. I don't think he's strong enough to play the 4. Is he going to shoot long term? I think so. I like the jump shot, but he has no natural touch is the problem. So like the jump shot's pretty, but he doesn't have touch. And like that's a real concern because like I'll bet on the guy who's got the ugly jumper with touch over the guy who's got the picturesque jumper but has no feel. So like I'm real low on Nate Amon comparatively. I have him really, really low on my board. I think I had 26. 26. So there's a ton of skills there. I just don't know how it plays. Koa Pete, like I said, Koa Pete's not a Raptors fit. I really like Koa Pete as a fit in Cleveland. I really like him as a fit in Philadelphia, from a culture standpoint and a skill standpoint because Embiid's so perimeter based now. Malik Thomas is a mid-second rounder for me. I think that he can really shoot it. I don't know what else he can do on the basketball court. I don't like the movement skills. He lacks flexibility, which is crazy for his build that he is so stiff. Like he's just so stiff through his hips. He doesn't move well at all. Like he moves like a guy 50 pounds heavier than him, which is crazy. So if you really believe in the shooting and you think he's going to be one of the best shooters on the planet, buy the stock. If you think he's going to be a 75th or 80th percentile shooter, he's an early second round pick because there's just not a lot of other like complementary skills that make him a scalable player. That's the difficulty. Oh, Josh Jefferson. I just love Josh. I do. Yeah, I just love Josh Jefferson. I can't hide it. It's a play type. It's just a player type that I just speaks to me. Pete, I wouldn't say he's underrated because like he's got a couple massive flaws in his game that makes translating his skills to the NBA level very niche. He needs to be in a very specific role to work. And that's why maybe he's like lower on some people's boards is just because there's not many systems that he can play in, right? Because of his inability to space the floor. And like he just has certain limitations, right? I would rather Vasar than Reed. Yeah. I'd rather the floor spacer, than the low post guy. Spacing wise, it just makes more sense. Onyensu is who I want. You know what I mean? Like I have him way higher than anybody else, I think. But Onyensu is just somebody that I love. I have him ranked, I think, 29 in the class. I think he's awesome. I almost ranked him 25th. I came really close. He blocks everything, great verticality, great understanding of defense and angles. And long-term, I think he shoots. That's the other thing. I don't think he's like a sniper or anything, but I think he shoots enough to get guarded. So I'm a big Onyensu guy. So I'll ride with it. I made the same claims about how I thought Nimi Kato was going to be an awesome basketball player. I thought Nimi Kato was going to be an NBA starter, and people laughed at me after his draft year, and then they laughed at me after his first and second seasons. And then this year I got to kind of give him one of those, So, but sometimes you just like a guy and how he plays. I won't be live for the draft because I'll be with my kids. I'm going to be watching the draft with my sons because we do it every year together, and that's our ritual, and that's like our family time. So I'm going to do a big show now, and then I'm going to do a post show after the draft, as long as it's not too late, because I got to be up real early, you know. Yeah, they'll do the sign and wave. I don't necessarily know where he fits. Not on a winning team. I think it will be somebody that's not good that brings him in. And if he goes to a winning team, he just won't play a whole lot. But like, who's a team that needs like a player like DeMar? Would San Antonio bring him in and play him as a super small ball 4, kind of like what they did with DeMar with Popovich? Now they have Wemby on that back line. He's a decision maker. He can get into the paint. You'd need a shooting jump from a few other guys. Like, he wouldn't play big minutes. Like, he'd just be there. I don't think Denver makes sense, but like, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of money on the board for him. Like, would the Chicago Bulls do this because they just really need somebody who can score the basketball? I'm not super into it, you know. Yeah, man, Merez is gonna be gone. I'm start every day. I get more and more certain that Merez Johnson's just never gonna happen for me. How can the Raptors get off Pirtle contract? You have to give up draft capital. Dalen Swain, defensive small forward, compliment Brandon Ingram. Problem is, he does the exact same stuff on offense that RJ Barrett does. Right? He needs the ball in his hands on offense to be successful. He's not a great shooter at this point, so you're not just going to like post him in the corner and be like, "Hey, you're an off-ball shooter." You know, he needs the ball in his hands, right? So there's just not a lot of on-ball reps to go around. And like, as for the defense, I'll say this right now. Last year, his Xavier tape, man, I love the defense. I was so high on his defense last year. The Texas defensive tape, it was dog shit. His defensive tape in Texas was dog shit. It was terrible. He was a terrible defender this year. He was disruptive. Like, he'd get a steal or a block and shit once in a while, but like, it was blown bys all the time. His off-ball awareness was terrible. And I know he had massive offensive usage, and that's a big part of it. So if you really believe in the Xavier tape on defense, okay, I can get it. If the Texas tape is who he is as a defender, that's scary. That's scary, because if he doesn't defend and he needs the ball in his hands and he's a non-shooter, he's not a non-shooter, but like, if the shooting never gets further than what it is now, like, he's going to be like a 33, 34% three-point shooting guy. What's that player? Like, that's a 7th, 8th man on a mediocre team. You know, I mean, his high-end ceiling is like really good player. You know, potential from him necessarily. Like, everybody obviously has that star ceiling if you hit your 100th percentile, but like, as a most likely outcome, like, I see him just being like a really good role player if he maximizes his stuff. But yeah, like, there's stuff there. I really like him. I just don't love him for the Raptors because there's just so many on ball players. What are some player comps for main guys at night? I don't love player. Like, I just sometimes I really struggle with it. Bennett Sturts does remind me of Ty Jerome a whole lot. Abuka Okori, I'm gonna give a comp to a prospect, not to the NBA player. Okay, so if you read my draft report, Tyrese Maxey, my draft report about Maxey and my draft report about Abuka Okori are basically the exact same, right? Tyrese Maxey turned into a 40% on high volume 3-point shooter, right? Not many guys have made that transition. If Okori doesn't shoot it to the level of Maxey, it's hard to make it work as a starter. If he shoots at the level of Maxey, which is like a less than 1% chance, because like, the Maxey shooting transition has just been one of the most remarkable developmental stories of the last 20 years of basketball. But like, that's what the ultimate ceiling is like, is he Tyrese Maxey? If he's not Tyrese Maxey, you know, a median for him is he's Dennis Schroeder. I think he does a lot of the same stuff Dennis Schroeder does. So, you know, that's a player I really like. I just don't love him for the Raptors. But yeah, like, there's a few. Zuby Ejiofor. It's funny. Everybody talks about how Merez Johnson reminds them of Isaiah Stewart. I think Merez Johnson's so much better than Isaiah Stewart. But Zuby Ejiofor reminds me of Isaiah Stewart, especially like the Isaiah Stewart a few years ago that was still shooting threes. But Zuby kind of reminds me of Beef Stew a little bit. Dalen Swain does, like I said, Najee Marshall was a comp that I liked for Dalen Swain. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I have like a real firm comp on. Keaton Wagler, like I said, the super high end upside was Devin Booker. He reminds me of Kevin Martin. Like Kevin Martin's kind of the ideal like 80th percentile comp for him, like just like a bucket getter. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of fun ones though. Like Milos Uzon, if you squint, you can see Andrew Nembhard. You have to squint. You know, if you squint with Bruce Thornton, you can see Kyle Lowry. You know, those are two that I do kind of like as comps. But yeah, there's lots, man. I don't know. I have a whole list of comps. I'm just not the biggest fan of comps. Terrace Reed, there are moments where he does remind me of Isaiah Hartenstein, because the passing's really good and he's big and he's physical, but he's not like the most vertical guy in the world. So there's lots of those. Yeah, there's lots of those types of ones. You know, Nate Amon, like there are moments he reminds me of Keith Van Horn. There are moments where he reminds me of far worse players than Keith Van Horn. So yeah, like again, I'm not the biggest comps guy, but that's some of them. Yeah, I saw the Sorsby stuff. We can talk about that another live though. This time I'm just doing NBA draft stuff today. Sorry, let me get these questions back up. Lakers pursuing Khalil Ware. No, that fell apart. I thought it said that they were pursuing him prior to his trade to Milwaukee. Yeah. I'm a Raptors fan, but I grew up before the Raptors were a team. I grew up a Denver Nuggets fan who also kind of like the Portland Trailblazers. I really like the Portland Trailblazers. Like the Portland when I was little, Portland Trailblazers probably my favorite team, but it's Portland and Denver. Like it kind of went back and forth when I was a little kid. Yeah, my favorite player of all times, my favorite basketball player ever played for the Portland Trailblazers. So I was a Blazers guy early. All right, what other questions we got? Josh Childress? I can see it to an extent. There's just like a really big difference in terms of effort level between those players. Like Josh Childress worked his balls off. Nate Amon sometimes like, looks very casual, right? And I hated Josh Childress coming to the draft too. So like it's not a bad comp. Like don't get me wrong, it's not a bad comp. You know, sorry, I'm leaning off screen again. Need a little break there. Hold on. Sorry, guys. And again, like I said earlier, if you're watching on anything but YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube. I've been working off on YouTube a couple months, and I'm really that up. So if you like the content, if you want to see longer form content, especially speaking to you TikTok people, go to my link tree in my profile on TikTok, jump over to YouTube, give me a follow, subscribe to the channel, check it out. If you want more draft stuff, I put out a full mock draft yesterday where I accurately predicted the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, including the package that was being returned, which is pretty fun. But yeah, so if you want to do that, that would be highly appreciative. I'm really trying to blow that shit up. So that would be awesome. Yeah, Pierre is like hyper athletic. I love just the balls on the jump shot. I think he's awesome. I think he's awesome. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't necessarily know if it's going to work. But like, I think he's awesome. I think he's so much fun. And if the NBA doesn't work out for him, I think he'll go with the NBL, and I think he'll win multiple NBL MVPs. That's my take. For my Australian basketball fans in here, I know there are a couple. Everybody knows I like the NBL. So some of my Aussie boys come in here. Jaron Pierre Jr., if he does not make it in the NBA, right? If he doesn't get those opportunities, he will go to Australia and win multiple NBL MVPs. That's my call. Mark it down. Would you trade up for Mara? No. Who would the Raps draft? In my mock yesterday, I had them drafting Jaden Quaintance. Yeah, that's who I had them drafting yesterday. Channing Frye, he moves so much better than Channing Frye, though. Like, Eamon just moves so much better. He's already a better rebounder, but yeah. Carl Murbrow's going to go nuts. He's going to be this year. Carl Murbrow's will be second team All NBA if the Raptors do the right thing and play him 28 to 32 minutes a night. Karim Lopez, Merez Johnson. Who goes higher? Merez Johnson. Merez Johnson's in a different class than those two players. I have those two players ranked 15 places lower than Merez Johnson. I'm so massively high on Merez Johnson. I think he's awesome. I don't think Jaron Pierre will be there either. If he is, the thing is about the second round is not about like ranking. The second round's about which 10 teams are willing to give guaranteed contracts to second round picks. Those 10 teams will get the guys they want to get, right? If you're a team that's drafting at 48 and you're willing to give one of the better players a guaranteed contract, you can manufacture a slide, right? Because if the teams at 41 and 42 and 43 are only willing to give two ways, those agents will slide their player down the board and get them to the guaranteed contract. We've seen it a million times, right? So the second round of the NBA draft isn't about which players are the best players. It's about which teams have the guaranteed contracts to hand out versus the two ways. And that's what makes the second round of the NBA draft like very, very interesting. The round 2 of the NBA draft is more like the major league draft than it is the NBA draft round 1, if that makes sense. Quaintance was hurt, but like Quaintance is one of the 5 best defensive prospects I've ever evaluated. And he's so unbelievably young. It's just the red flag about injury, and like, we'll see what that ends up being. Last time the Raptors drafted a player who had massive red flags for injuries that slid from 5 down to 20, it worked out pretty good until we traded him for RJ fucking Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, who needed to be re-signed. Thanks, Masai. Bang up job. And I know somebody in the comments could be like, he wanted to go to New York. I've already done this conversation. Doesn't matter where he wants to go. It matters who can pay him. And the Knicks couldn't pay him. They had no avenue to pay him. So, yeah. I can't remember where I had Phylon going in my mock yesterday. I believe I had him going. Did he go? No, he didn't go to Charlotte at 18. I know he slid a little bit. Who was at 21? Who was drafting at 21? Hold on. Who was 21, the Detroit Pistons. That's where I had him going. I had a feeling it was 21. Do you think propose a deal of Brandon Ingram for Jaylen Brown? Boston would never do it. Yeah, Boston would never do it, unfortunately. Who's your favorite guard for the Raptors to draft in our range? Amongst the guys that are like in that range, Christian Anderson by far, just because the shooting is so overwhelmingly dynamic. If I had to rank the players, I would say Christian Anderson 1, De La Rhea 2, Phylon 3, Okori 4, Sturts 5. But like those last 4 are in a very tight tier. Like, I could change those 4 players' spots every 20 minutes, right? Odds the Raptors trade the pick? Fuck, I hope not, unless they're moving up or trading back for multiples. But yeah, we'll see. The Heat's bench? Well, they've still got Pelle Larsson, like their bench right now. So here's the thing people need to understand. They've now become the premier destination for vet minimums. People are just going to want to sign with them. Pardon me. So yeah, right now their bench isn't great, but like they're gonna have Bruce Brown come and sign for them, and fucking Jock Lawndale is going to come sign to them, and like every vet that thinks that they can get the bump off being on a championship team that's gonna make 5 or 6 million will take a million less and go there on the vet minimum, right? So their bench is bad for right now, but they're just going to get guys that shouldn't necessarily be vet minimum guys that are going to be willing to take that because they know that it's going to potentially get them paid in the future. So that's the kind of differentiator there. One, yeah, Bobby Portis is still there, and like, yeah. Yeah, I believe Calmer Boyles will shoot. I don't think he's ever going to be like a sniper, but I think he's going to shoot enough. Like last year, before the thumb injury, he was 39.5% on threes on very small volume. I think Hardaway, this is the problem with playing with Jokic, or not for him. It's a good thing for him, but like Hardaway played great this year. I don't think he's a vet minimum player this year. I think somebody's going to throw, somewhere between 8 and 10 million at him per year on like a 1 or 2, probably a 2-year deal. And I think that's probably the way it ends up going. No, I'm not going to stream during the draft. I'm going to do before and I'm going to do after. During the draft, I'm with my kids. I always watch the draft with my sons, and I'm going to continue that tradition because, yeah, that's what we do every single year. Malik Beasley, yeah, maybe. Trade. I think they'll want to move off Jovic. Depending on how many trades will happen during the draft, not before, not after. I'd put the over/under at 2.5. I think there's going to be more activity than there typically is. I have 2 teenagers, so not little. Angels, though. They're good boys. Yeah, I've got a 13 and a 15. Because I'm an old man now. I'm low on Nick Martinelli because I don't know how it works in the NBA. So again, when I rank players based off the idea of how is your skill set going to affect winning at the NBA level. And I look at the idea of scalability. What is, and see if you can answer this one, Dominic. What is Martinelli's premier skill? Right? Like, what is the skill that makes Martinelli draftable? And I do believe he's draftable. Because when I watch his game, it's his ability to get downhill and get to the rim. That means the ball has to be in his hands. Not a great defender. Doesn't do a ton of work as an off-ball guy. Like, it's a lot of get downhill. It's hard to scale that role because, like, if you get drafted to the Toronto Raptors, so what? You're going to put the ball in Nick Martinelli's hands instead of Scotty Barnes and Calmer Boyles and Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly and everybody else, right? So I just don't think he's good enough at his best skill to affect winning with it. So his entire game needs to be scaled down, and that's tough. Best fit for Bruce Thornton, not named Minnesota, Denver. I think Bruce Thornton in Denver would be friggin' perfect. Yeah, I really like Bruce Thornton though. And you know what's funny, dude? I didn't like Bruce Thornton last year. I didn't see it. I didn't get it. People were like, "Oh, he'll be drafted the second round." And I'm like, "Nope." And now it's just I've got a lot of confidence in Bruce Thornton. I see him. I see his game and I like it. Wait, who's being sold high? I don't know if you can sell high on Portis. If you're going to trade Portis, you're going to get like, I don't know, 2 seconds for him. His contract value isn't great. There are limitations in his game. And right now, I think he fits Miami better than he fits other places. Jovic and him don't do the same thing, right? Like, so both flawed players, but yeah, I don't think there's a lot to sell high on with him necessarily. Oh, big hit by Okamoto. Huge. Nice. Well, and like the Denver thing, man, for me, I look at it and I go, Bruce Brown, maybe they'll be able to bring back that minimum. Jalen Pickett's not the answer. Obviously, Jamal Murray is there. Obviously, the Christian Brown's there for now. Like one of Brown or Cam Johnson, I imagine is going to be moved. What they're going to bring back Tyus Jones? Like Tyus Jones didn't do anything for them. I think they need like another backup guard that can shoot and play physical and play, like kind of nasty at the point of attack. I think that's Bruce Thornton. I think Jaden Bradley makes sense for them too. Not at 26. I think there's a bunch of guards in this draft class that make a lot of sense for what Denver needs. If Denver also went big, I totally understand that, right? If they drafted a big, especially a versatile big that could switch, like Zuby Ejiofor makes so much sense in Denver. I think there's a lot of different things you can do with them. Give Watson the max? Shit, you're gonna be able to. If you gave Watson 4 for 100, he'd probably go for 4 for 100 because there's not a lot of marketplace out there to break him on that. Did he go to the Clippers? Are you messing with me? Are you messing with me on a live stream? Because I've been updating my shit. I don't see anything right now. Is this guy just making shit up? Are you making up stuff? Yeah, he's messing with me. All right. See, this is why I leave Twitter all loaded up to make sure I can weed out the people who are screwing with me. Oh, Josh Jefferson? Yeah, no, which is somebody that I've had mocked to Denver multiple times as well. Yeah, Marcus, people are silly. People are reactionary. Toronto fans are the worst across all sports, but especially Jays fans. Terrible. Who we taking at 19? Where on X? Who? Matthew Davis? I'm starting not to believe you, Matthew. Because I looked through Twitter, I didn't see shit. Yeah, well, which account then? Because I don't see it, and I don't like being messed with. And when people say fake shit, they get blocked. I'm not going to block you, though, but who's David Miller? Yeah, I'm not listening to you anymore. Yeah. According to my guesses, according to my friend me. Yeah, but that's cool though. But yeah, do we have any more questions? Anything else? Did we work through the entire draft already? Did we get everything done? So again, like I said before, if you don't subscribe to me on YouTube, please go subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over there. I would be very, very excited. I made a joke about David Putney yesterday. So like, especially for the TikTok people, like I said, if you want to jump over to my link tree in my bio, jump over to YouTube, give me a quick subscription. That would be dope. That would be absolutely lovely, and I'd appreciate the support. And if you want more long-form content, all that kind of stuff, there's tons over there. I think I've got 15 or 16 prospect profiles, full detailed using Draft Baller and other stuff. I've got multiple mock drafts, a mock draft and a big board, a full 2-round mock draft yesterday as well that I posted. There's a whole bunch of long content over there. So if you want to do that and go check me out on YouTube, I would appreciate it. I'd appreciate the support. I love that you're supporting me on TikTok. And we will be doing a live broadcast after the draft as well. So after round 1 of the draft, I'm going to get on. We can talk draft grades. We can break down players, talk about how these guys are going to fit into the rosters that they've been drafted by, who slid, who rose, who didn't get picked, who slid to the second round, all that good stuff. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Colin Murray Boyle's representing. If Colin Murray Boyle's here and he wants to hang out, he wants to come on the stream, you let me know. But yeah, Did you post a mock somewhere in written form? No, my big board is on Instagram though, and it's an image. But yeah, no, nothing in written form. I wonder if you could look up subtitles. I wonder if you can get the transcription of the YouTube video. Like if you click on the video and ask it to be transcribed, if it would be transcribed. I'm not sure. Yeah, cam card dropping would be dope. I haven't caught prospects this year. Tell me who the Raptors should take. It depends on who falls, right? It all depends on who falls. But like yesterday, like I said, I had the mock to Jaden Quains yesterday, which I understand the red flags. I understand people are scared, blah, blah, blah. Defensive potential. It's just unbelievable. So, but yeah, I will be live after the draft for not that long. I got to be up early. My kid's going to school tomorrow. It's his last real day. Not even real. His school is going to Wonderland. So I do need to be up early. So I don't want to do it too late, but I will pop on for maybe 45 minutes to an hour and we can have a discussion and whatnot. Draft is tonight, 8:00. So unless you have more questions, please jump over to YouTube, TikTok people, jump over to YouTube, give me a subscription over on YouTube, interact. If there's additional things you would like me to talk about, put it in the comment section or put it in the comment section of the video here. But I would love the support on YouTube. I'm really, really, really trying to build the YouTube stuff. And then I'll do the same thing afterwards where I'll do a between TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, do a live broadcast after the draft, and we'll talk about everything else that we need to go through. But yeah, that's a rundown. I thought I was gonna be on here longer, but like I don't mind jumping off and having time to, maybe order my kids some food or something. Draft starts. This is Christmas Day for basketball fans. This is the best day of the year, guys. NBA draft time. Please, I have Peterson number 1 on my board. He won't be drafted number 1, but I do have him number 1 on my board. They've been going back and forth all year. But I thank you again. I made a video earlier talking about it. I've been pursuing a weird little dream of trying to do draft-based content and scouting-based content now. And some opportunities are popping up, which are really, really fun. And I would have no chance to pursue these things if it wasn't willing to watch my growing pains as a content creator and my growing pains as a video editor. And I'm hoping next year to be able to do full video breakdowns of prospects. I'm really working hard to try to get better at the editing side. I'm 41 years old. I've never had to do video editing before. I'm learning this on the fly. I'm hoping to be able to add additional elements like a podcast and have more guests as well. So like I said, I appreciate everybody's support and supporting me in what's been like a really, really cool kind of pursuit for me. So I'll see you guys after the draft. Everybody enjoy it. Don't be mad. And we'll go from there. All right. Have a good day.